Caught Up is an echo chamber for content creators. Almost all content on this show, Caught Up, is created by citizen journalists.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route and how fast. Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are. Our Constitution is a document in which we the people tell the government what it is allowed to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited. There's a clear cause and effect here that is as neat and predictable as a law of physics. As government expands, liberty contracts.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of the host, producers, or any affiliated organization. This podcast may include sensitive discussion related to topics such as child protection, abuse, and criminal behavior. The content is intended for informational, educational, and awareness purposes only, does not constitute legal, medical, or professional advice. Any reference to individuals, cases, or events are based on personal perspective, professional experience, or publicly available information and should not be interpreted as statements of fact regarding any specific person or situation. The host, speakers, and producers disclaim any liability for actions taken by listeners based on the content of this podcast. Listeners are encouraged to seek qualified professional guidance for their specific circumstances. Listeners' discretion is advised. All individuals are presumed innocent unless proven guilty in a court of law. All right, folks, how are we doing tonight? This is Candid Conversation, and we have a very special guest, Dr. Melissa Maranville, and we and Robert have been trying to get her to come on the show to explain just exactly the things that she does. She's very interesting. She is a wealth of knowledge and education. As a matter of fact, if I can brag on her for just a minute, we'll give you a little bit of a introduction to who she is. Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, sweet. So it says Dr. Melissa Maranville is a forensic investigative consultant, expert witness, and researcher, as well as the founder of DeVille and Associates and DeVille Academy. Her work sits at the intersection of digital forensics, child protection, and institutional accountability, where she examines how technological and systematic failures allow exploitations, tracking, and sexual violence to persist. And that's just a little of what you get into. Isn't that correct, Melissa?
That's a drop in the bucket. Yeah.
Drop in the bucket.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. There's a whole lot more.
So it says you're also a survivor of child exploitation, an experience that has shaped both her purpose and her path. Rather than allowing the trauma to define her, Dr. Maranville chose to transform it into education, earning her doctorate and building a career dedicated to protecting others and holding systems accountable. And that's what I like right there, is holding systems accountable.
Yes. Yeah. I don't mind sharing. I don't go into details, but I am a survivor of child sexual abuse and exploitation for around the age of 5, I guess, until about the age of 10 or 11, somewhere around there. Yeah. And then when I was in college, I was also a date rape victim as well. One of the things I've learned is that being in this field so long is when people are victims of child sexual abuse and trauma, they tend to make themselves very vulnerable to other predators. And it's a really hard cycle to break out of. And you'll see repeat victimization occur, whether it's domestic violence. You'll see a lot of those child survivors get involved with violent partners, drug and alcohol abuse. But which also makes them more vulnerable to other sexual predators and so forth. So, yeah, there's definitely some trends there.
So
Mhm.
are you big on like trying to find those details before things happen, like the signs of something that may, of things to come, maybe, perhaps?
I've been in this field now for so long. Professionally, I've been in this field for over 30 years. And I hate to say it, but there are no specific signs. Predators can be anyone. They look like your average person. They can be absolutely anyone. One of the biggest things that we need to do as a society is listen to the victims. When a child comes to someone and they say, I don't want to go with that person, or this person touched me inappropriately, etc. It's so important that we listen to the victims, and then we start paying closer attention to what's going on, to what their surroundings are, who are they exposed to, etc. Research shows that over over 87% of all child predators are someone in the family. It's an aunt, an uncle, a father, a mother, a babysitter, a neighbor, a best friend of a neighbor, etc. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to gain access to children. We see a lot of predators actually target single mothers on these dating sites as well too, because mothers will post pictures of themselves with their children, and it lures in different types of predators, etc. And so they'll start targeting these single mothers on these dating apps even. So they're everywhere. And like I said, there is no particular look. There is no particular sign to look for. I can't go into Walmart and be like, well, that's a predator. Boy, I wished I could, but I can't. But once I get to talking to someone and I get to paying attention, I can listen to how they're talking and the words that they're using, and whatnot. And then I can start picking up on some things. Given I've been in this field for so long, people will oftentimes tell on themselves. They'll project. People project all the time. They'll project their own insecurities out onto other people, etc. So.
Their own insecurities on other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah. So how much of it does the digital realm get into it, the web and that kind of stuff like that? Do you play a role in that?
This day and time, everything's technology. So predators heavily rely on technology. Predators really don't change over time, whether it's a pedophile or a hebephile, whatever type of predator we're dealing with, right? So they really don't change over time. What does change is the technology.
Right.
And I deal with a lot of cases. There's not any cases that has not included technology, whether it's on the surface web or whether it's on the deep and dark web. I'll go into different platforms, into different chat rooms. You'll see predators chatting. You'll see them trading, wanting to trade content of victims, etc. Think about, for a moment, think about eBay. And we all are familiar with eBay, so most of us. And so when you go into eBay, you have all these different vendors on eBay. You can input a credit card and you can buy whatever you want, put it in your little, your little shopping cart, and then you can check out. So, and then purchase your item, and then it gets shipped to your front door. So on the dark web, the platforms are very similar. So when you go into some of these platforms, they will have different images of victims there, children.
Right.
And whatnot. And so they'll also have words. They'll have links that you can click on depending on what someone is interested in. I don't know, something I'm not even going to say. So
that's fine.
You can click on that, and then what'll happen is, because it'll be connected to different images, it'll pull up those different images for you. So, for example,
kind of like a filter.
Kind of like a filter, yes.
Okay.
Kind of like a filter, yes. So it'll be like if I went on eBay and I put in car covers, it's going to give me a whole list of different car covers because that tag term is connected to those images, right, of
Right.
what they're selling.
Right.
It's very similar, but in context of humans. And so ultimately what they'll do is there'll be literally hundreds of images, thousands of images of victims of there. And then in order to pay for it, you'll pay for it with cryptocurrency.
Really? How does that work?
Well, they'll have a wallet address there. And so you'll just click on that wallet address. That wallet address is going to be connected to a wallet address on your cell phone. And then you're going to make the transaction just like you would if it was your Visa debit card.
Huh. So something like that traceable? Go ahead, Robert.
I've been in crypto for, man, probably a decade or more. And I know one reason that's got to be why they use crypto is because it's virtually untraceable, correct?
Well, it depends. It depends on what crypto we're talking about. If it's Bitcoin, like when I'm training ICAC agents, ICAC detectives, I train them on also, there's 3 areas that we primarily focus on. Obviously, the predator, different typologies of predators. We need to know who we're dealing with first, and we learn that through the victimology by looking at the victims that they are targeting and how they targeted that victim. That'll be the first thing that tells me where I need to start. And then the second thing we look at is the location on the internet. Is it the surface web or is it the dark web? There's social media platforms that's different on the dark web that we don't have on the surface web. When I say surface web, I mean if you was to open up your computer and you go to Google, that's in essence the clear web or the surface web, metaphorically. So on the dark web, we have access. There's other different social media platforms on the dark web. And so what will happen is that the second thing I look for is where they're located. Where is this stemming from? And then I look at the fact that what crypto are they using? What type of cryptocurrency? If it's Bitcoin, Bitcoin is located on a public blockchain. So that makes it relatively easy for me to be able to go in and ID this individual based on just their transaction hashes alone.
Right.
And I can trace those transaction hashes all the way back to the original wallet.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not looking at all the transactions in the middle within the blockchain. I'm looking for when did it come on the blockchain and when did it come off the blockchain.
So does Bitcoin make it easier than any of the other cryptocurrencies just for the fact that it is more transparent, if I understand it correctly, than a lot of the others out there? No.
Yes and no. I mean, the others are as well. We can trace and track crypto through their blockchains as well. So it's not impossible. Some are a little bit more challenging than others. I don't release that publicly because I don't want to give predators a heads up. So I don't talk about that publicly. But we can trace and track all of them. We use specific software to where we can go in and look at all those transactions and be able to trace it back to an exchange of where it initially came on the blockchain.
And the other thing I was wanting to ask you about was I heard you say I guess like classifications, like pedophile. What was that, herbophile or something like that?
Hebephiles.
Hebephiles, okay. Herbophile.
That is
something
great.
Food or something. So what are those classifications and what do they involve? Like how do you get there?
Well, let's see. So we break them down. First of all, I would break them down into whether these predators are preying on minors or adults, okay? Because that matters. So we have in general, let's keep this in general because common classifications, because we could really get into this very deep and then we're going into the DSM and then we're breaking down psychological classifications. So primarily we have like a situational offender. Situational offenders, they do not typically have a primary sexual preference for children. These situational offenders, they often act based on like opportunity, access, or even stressors. So say, for example, a man's wife, and I have to say men because 99% of our predators are men.
That's fair.
So say a man's wife filed for divorce and she's taken the children. That would be classified as a stressor. So that individual would have that stressor. He would be really upset. He went to the bar, maybe had a few too many drinks and stuff. And then he saw this woman that he feels that is attractive in the parking lot and he sexually assaults her. That's what we consider, like, it's based on the situation, right, of what's happening in that offender's life. So these offenders are driven more by access, circumstance. Like, for example, I helped work this one case to where this man had actually sexually assaulted a 17-year-old child. But he was ultimately just breaking into the house to rob the house, to steal jewelry, that sort of thing. But she happened to be home. So he raped this 17-year-old child. That would be a situational offender.
Wow.
It was an opportunity, and they jumped on it. The next one that I see a lot are what we call preferential offenders. Preferential offenders, they have a consistent, persistent sexual interest in children. They have a preference of what they want. So they wouldn't be situational. It wouldn't be based on that. It would be based on what it is that they desire. So these individuals, they often plan, they end up grooming their victims. And then what they do is they work out something to where they're going to be able to gain access to that victim. I can give you a really good case study examples. I can't tell you the states or anything, but I can talk about the case. I helped out with this one case to where these traffickers, they were enrolling a young 14-year-old girl into different high schools. And when they would enroll her into high school, these offenders were pretending to be this girl's parents. So what this girl's job was to do was to lure other young girls back home with her for a sleepover. And and so with that sleepover, so what would happen is that when she would target a specific type of girl and lure that girl over for a sleepover, the girl would end up being instantly drugged and then taken to a location to where that girl would then be forever moved out and put into the trafficking system.
Wow.
So that would be an example of a preferential offender, to where they want specifics. They have a plan put in place. They know how they're going to get their victims. These also fall into groomers as well, those that will work their way into a family. Like another case I was able to help on, an individual, a man actually moved into a subdivision because he had saw the images of this little boy on social media. He learned where the child lived. He bought a house in the subdivision, became friends with the little boy's father, and worked his way in as a close family friend, to where they were even calling him like Uncle John Doe.
Right.
So this is now your new Uncle John Doe, which when we're training, we always say, never make someone a family member that's not a family member. Don't ever do that. But this individual did, and he worked his way into this family to where he could gain access to this man and woman's little boy. And then what he did is he learned what gaming systems this little boy liked. And so he started playing those games, pretending like he was another kid.
Wow.
Yeah, so that would be a really good example of grooming. And then, of course, these offenders just seek intentional access. They build that pipeline to what they want and and work their way in. The next one would be groomers. Groomers focus on manipulation and trust building. Their whole game is to build trust with a child and manipulate that trust. So they're going to target families. They're going to target communities where laws are laxing. They're going to target schools, churches, church organizations, et cetera, to where they can work their way in, build trust, whether 9 times out of 10, it's either through gaming platforms or it's through sports. And when they do this, they're going to use other tactics to really build that trust. You'll see them start giving gifts, bicycles, birthday cards, things like that. Just some kind of gift that a stranger or nobody should be giving your child a gift ever.
Yeah.
They'll start giving that child also like special attention. We'll see that as well. For example, little Bobby over here is doing so great in basketball. I would love to be able to work with him, after school or whatnot. You can just drop him off here at the gym, and I would love to be able to work with him on his game. You'll see stuff like that, that special attention. And then the isolation comes. That's the gym. So trying to get little Bobby isolated from his parents because he's doing so great. He wants to make him a star player. But I need to work with them at the gym. So therefore, they've now isolated this child away from their protectors.
Right.
And then what they do is they gradually start crossing boundaries. It could be, since we're using that as an example, it could be they are in the locker room and it's time to shower and oops, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to drop my towel or something of that sort. It's very minuscule, but they'll work their way up and they will escalate. They'll brush into them inappropriately, but it really wasn't meant to be inappropriate, right? I'm so sorry I did that. You'll see them start doing that, and little Bobby may be like, well, that's okay, and then it'll happen again. But then the predator will start escalating. And then, of course, the last one I see a lot of are authority-based offenders. These are your coaches. These are your teachers. These are your religious leaders. These are your mentors. And they will 99.99% target children at schools and churches. Yeah. And so I see a lot of those as well. And of course, we have the online facilitation. So that's some of the classifications and the typologies. Like I said, we could break them down even further, but just to give you all an idea. But we do see a lot of online facilitators, online facilitated offenders, a lot too, primarily in messaging apps, gaming platforms, and like social media platforms in general.
When you think about some of these guys out here that are like predator hunters, so they'll get online and actively try and get these people engaged and then build a case on them.
I think it's good. I always say, I got to be careful how I say this. So I always say
you don't have to answer it.
It's good to expose predators. It's very good to expose because that's one of the ways I believe in my area and everything that I've seen, a predator does not want to be exposed. Okay. So it's really good to expose them. But we also have to be very careful because when you have these predator hunters out here and they're going after these predators, they can contaminate evidence. And then when that evidence gets contaminated and that predator hires a defense attorney, what happens is that case can be dismissed and thrown out based on technicalities. Okay. So they have to be really careful with that. So I can't say I support those because I definitely don't want to see a sex offender get off on a technicality, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So, that has to do with, evidence handling. Whether it's the breaking chain of custody. So you're breaking chain of custody, and once that happens with content or whatever evidence that may be, whether it's digital evidence and it's broken with chain of custody, you can't.
Good lawyer can exploit that.
Absolutely, and get it dismissed. So,
So we have a question that says, how have advancements in technology changed the way that predators can be discovered during your time and experience working in this field?
What was that?
is how have the advancements in technologies changed the way that predators can be discovered? How has technology
And how we
helped?
discover
Yeah.
predators. Um, well, one, we now have software tools to where we can gain access into the dark web on the backside. And I'll explain it like this. So normally when you go into the dark web, you will go through, say, most people go through the dark web through Tor or what is called the onion router. So they'll go in that way, and then they'll have to go to these platforms. You'll have to create a username, a password. Its AI is going to vet you to make sure you're not law enforcement, et cetera. And also your digital footprints can also be traced and tracked. Even if you're using a VPN, like a virtual private network, still yet you have to be very careful and very cautious as to how you enter these dark rooms, right? So we have software now to where we can bypass all that. We just go right into it. We don't have to set up anything. So it's changed to benefit us in that aspect. Also, digital footprints. Digital footprints are everywhere. To whereas even 30 years ago, we didn't deal with this, right? We didn't really have a lot of technology then, as heavy as it is now. I mean, we were still in what? AOL? You've got mail, remember? So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we were still there, still with that dial-up internet that took forever to log in. But now technology is so fast. And so with that being said, we have digital footprints everywhere. So for example, when I get a hold of someone's username or email address, I can now locate them using software on any platform that they've been on. With that username, but that username will also connect me to their other usernames based on digital footprints. It connects through what we call linkage analysis.
Wow.
So linkage analysis will actually connect an individual across the entire webs and give us a digital footprint, a really big picture as to this person's aliases, as to any other email accounts that they're using that they have not disclosed to us, any usernames that they have not disclosed to us, any fake accounts that they're using that they have not disclosed to us. So we really have a lot of great technology today to where we can identify individuals. And that's just through OSINT or open source intelligence, right?
Yeah.
So that's through what is publicly available. That's not to mention siloed data that is used within police departments. So once you couple all of that together, it really does paint a much more clearer picture for investigating these types of cases, because these guys get clever. I mean, they're very clever, and you have to stay constantly 10 steps ahead at all times.
I bet. You talk about the dark web a lot. I've never even approached the idea to type something like that in to even get to go down that route. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it amazes me. It used to be a rumor when we were, like you said, 20 years ago, dark web type stuff. I just thought it was like a conspiracy theory type thing. And boy, look how real it's become here, probably in the last 10 years or less, maybe. Wow. And so with the technology, AI is involved in this now. AI's come quite a ways, hasn't it?
Oh, yes. Well, I always say that what has come out today has already existed for the past 10, 15, 20 years.
Probably.
It just hasn't made full circle into society yet. So we've had AI. We've had AI for many, 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 many years. It's not a new concept. So in essence, technology did not create this problem that we're talking about. But what it did do is that it changed the landscape, the entire landscape in which we can investigate these cases. And it has become very, very challenging. One area that I really do enjoy working on or working in, let's say, is with leaked data. I really do like working with leaked data. So Leaked data is basically, you all remember when AT&T was hacked?
Yeah.
Okay, so when AT&T was hacked, they stole all that data. What they do is they go and dump it on the dark web. And then you can have software that will go and pick that up. And then you house it, you save it, right? And then you can sort through it later on. To shorten this, there's software out there that will organize all of that leaked data. And when it organizes all the leaked data, you can go in and obviously, just like you would go into like Google and type in a search in the search engine, you do the same thing in these software tools, and it will actually pull up all the leaked data on individuals. So you'll actually get access to all their emails, their usernames, what platforms they were logged into, where their usernames are being used on what platforms, their social security numbers. I get the VIN to their cars. You can get a lot from leaked data. And so I really do like working with leaked data as well. So that's one area that has also rapidly changed for us to be able to work these cases. Now, leaked data is not something you can use in the court of law. You use leaked data for leads only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. How does something work in the court of law, and you might not be able to answer it if it goes across state lines?
What do you mean?
So they're here, but they're messing with somebody in another state. But you're tracking it through the web. And like I said, Melissa, you may not answer. It just made me wonder how, with this technology and all of that, can that help play a role in trying to arrest somebody, I guess?
Well, I got involved in that with one case, with a lot of cases, one case actually across the country, and a lot of these cases do, right?
Yeah.
When we're dealing with these types of cases, online child sex abuse material, or better known as CSAM, we no longer use the term child porn because we need to send a message. Our brains automatically think of, when we talk about pornography, that it's willing, right? And that's something that our brains automatically think about. Pornography, people are usually willing to participate in pornography. So with pushing to change the terms and the definitions to child sex abuse material, CSAM, it really does change the way the brain actually looks at it. So when I'm working cases that involve CSAM and human trafficking, there are no borders. These are borderless crimes, particularly when we are dealing with them on the internet. Now, based on where the victim was, if there was a victim that was assaulted, say sextortion cases. So say there was a child in Tennessee that was sextorted. Hypothetically, let's just say Maranville. So say there was a child that was sextorted in Maranville, Tennessee, then the authorities here in Maranville would take on that case. But say the extorter was located, I don't know, in Indiana somewhere, then they would have to work with law enforcement in Indiana to be able to apprehend that individual and then extradite them back into Tennessee to, for court.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah. So, and so when it's globally, that really does become a challenge. Like I was tracing and tracking an individual on a dark website to where this dark website was, it was like how do I want to term this? It was like a brokerage platform. So what was happening was there was a dark website. It's down now, but there was a dark website to where individuals could go on, a predator, and say, I am looking for such and such, a certain age of a child with these dimensions, these features, dark hair, blue eyes, something of that sort. And then you would have a trafficker that would come in and jump in the conversation saying, well, I can get you that victim and whatnot, depending on, where you're located. Well, this individual was located in another part of the world. And so they had to connect them with a trafficker within that part of the world in order to find them a victim. But what they would do within this platform is that they would rent Airbnbs. So they would deliver the child victim to the Airbnb, and then ultimately the driver would wait in the driveway to retrieve the child back after the services were rendered. But the rules is that you couldn't damage their face. I mean, they have a whole contract written out. It's absolutely horrific.
You're
So
kidding.
no, it's an actual contract. I show this case in a lot of my trainings with ICAC teams and stuff to show them that this is what we face. So ultimately, what happens is this one predator wanted to know how much would it cost if the victim dies. So what this predator wanted to do is they wanted to basically murder someone. So what they did is that they sold these victims for a flat amount of $20,000.
20,000.
Yes.
Yes, and so it was a horrific case. That case got connected with the feds and the FBI, and I was able to connect with federal agents in the other country and be able to get all of this digital data over to them, because at that point in time, we had already identified who it was. I even had that individual's personal identification numbers. I had everything on this individual. And we got everything forwarded over to that country so then they could deal with that case.
Wow. Did you ever hear the outcome of that? Are you able to follow up that way?
Sometimes they will contact me and let me know or let us know the outcomes, because I work with the task force. I work with the team. And so, so sometimes they'll contact us and let us know the outcomes of these cases. But most of the time, no.
Yeah. So when you talk about, would you call them ICAC, these trainings with departments?
Internet crimes against children.
Oh, so you don't get to go in there and arm bar them and put them down,
No.
virtually, right?
I'm virtually. I'm the keyboard warrior, I guess.
Okay.
A digital one. Yeah.
Go into detail about how that works. I mean, just
these
exactly
guys,
the training and the education that's in that. Yeah.
some of these guys are really good. They're some of these guys are really good. They've gotten so good now to where all they have to do is just locate them. We locate them and be like, okay, so we know this is happening here, and they'll be waiting on them.
Wow.
So, these guys have gotten really good over the past few years. So there's a lot of arrests. A lot of these predators are now being taken down a whole lot more than what they used to be. But, the reality is that when one predator is taken down, or 3 or 4 of them, in one bust, you have one or 4 or 5 that pops right back up. And when I was out in Vegas training, and I'll never forget, someone asked me, he said, so why do you do it? He said, every time you take one down, 2 more pop back up. Why do you do it? And I'm like, that's an excellent question, right? I mean, it really is. And my answer to him was, if you were that child or that victim, wouldn't you want to know that we're coming for you? Wouldn't you want to know that someone is coming for you?
Yeah.
Or if that was your child, wouldn't you want to know that there's people that can do this type of work and that someone's coming for your child? And he's like, yeah, I kind of get it now. Because it's not easy. It's not easy work. It's a lot. Psychologically, it's a lot. I no longer get involved in the content anymore. It's really heavy. And so you have a lot of night terrors, night frights. There's a lot psychologically involved when you do this type of work. I've been able to train actually moderators across the country, across the globe, in other countries, training online moderators on what to look for in groomers, what to look for when they're using certain words, certain verbiage in these chat rooms, these gaming platforms, et cetera, to try to keep children safe. And then After that, you also have to train them how to deal with what we call secondary trauma. So secondary trauma is like when you're working these cases online, you're seeing what's happening. So we develop certain methods that you can do in order to be less traumatized. Because I'm not going to lie to you, this type of work can seriously mentally mess someone up. And the detectives, I mean, bless their hearts, the detectives that do it in real life, when they have to go in and see them, on average, most detectives only remain in those fields and in that area for like 3 years, I think is the average. And then they'll transfer out of that department into another department because your psyche, you have to take care of yourself mentally in doing this kind of work. And so that's why I haven't did content in a very long time. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine dealing with that, seeing it, hearing it.
Hearing it, see, that's a part of it when it comes to our senses, right? You're seeing it and you're hearing it, and you can almost feel it. It's horrific. And the key message that I'd like to send, I mean, I really do appreciate you all giving me the opportunity to come on your podcast and being able to talk about these things, because a lot of people don't think that these things exist. They've heard about it, but a lot of people don't believe that there are these real platforms that they sell children on. And I'm here to tell you they are very real. I could do a search in one of my softwares right now, and I could put in 2 terms. I could put in cheese pizza. That's a key term that these predators will use.
Yep.
Cheese pizza and toddlers. And I will get over 10,000 plus hits with just those 2 terms. And we have now over 3,000 terms we use in searching for these children and victims. It's not just children, it's also adult victims as well. There's also a surrogacy that's going on the dark web as well, underground. So you have these victims who have, actually I have a free training, a 1-hour free training on my website. I'm changing websites. So DeVille Academy, when I pop it back up, you can go on it and you can watch it. It's for free. And it's about pregnancy and how young women who are being trafficked are forced to give childbirth. And then when they give childbirth to these babies never receive a birth certificate. They never receive anything because they're sold through the dark web, through the underground markets. And that's very real. So when people talk about, well, this stuff really doesn't happen, it really does happen.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was having a discussion with someone the other day about there actually being maybe farms where they're doing that and having babies that are undocumented. So
yes,
they're never on paper. As far as the real world goes, they don't exist.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. Yeah, it's very true. Yeah.
So I think about a lot of things in life, conspiracy theories. I traveled down deep dives and stuff like that. Never thought about any of that. Heard you hear the word, the trafficking and stuff like that, and because I've never had to deal with any of that firsthand, it's almost hard to imagine and even believe. Like you were talking, for a good example, cancer. I heard a lot of people talk about cancer in my life, and until I lost a daughter to cancer, it became reality.
Oh, yeah.
That word became a bad thing. So to dabble in what you're talking about, and dabble is probably not the right word, but to be a law enforcement officer or a victim of that, my gosh, it just I can't imagine. And then to think that you're right, that we go on about our daily lives like none of these things in the world happen or they exist, and these things absolutely do. Right underneath our nose, and so we appreciate the training and all that, or what you do as far as that. So do you actually physically go to these sheriff's departments and stuff like that, or is it more of a virtual type training? Or
I do more in-person trainings because these law enforcement officers, they need the hands-on skill sets to be able to do this. And you really can't get the gist of it through a webinar on training. Although my DeVille Academy, I'm going to have a lot of virtual trainings on there, but I will also fly and travel to them and will train. Sometimes I'll train, it can be as few as 12 or 15, and I've trained all the way up to a room of like 30. So it just varies. In my trainings, I train local, state, and federal agents and global agents. So I've actually flown overseas to be able to do some work too. So, but the thing is that they need this hands-on skill sets to be able to do this. And they need the time to be able to sit in the classroom and have someone to work with them, like, do it this way, try it this way. They'll oftentimes bring their cases with them as well too. And I think that's very beneficial, because then I can take some cases and I'll show them how to get their leads in using the dark web and cryptocurrency in this type of work. Now, even though this is the area I specialize in, and that's where my passion is because of my own experience as a child. My goal is to try to eradicate every offender across the planet. I know it's a big goal, but I'm working really, really hard. So you never know. Anyway, but they can use this for anything, right? Just think about it. People who are selling us. I've even had agricultural agents come into my classes because people stealing cattle. I didn't realize that was a thing. People stealing cattle or horses, and they've got a lead, but they're selling them online. How do you locate that? Well, you would use the same thing that you would use for a human or anything else, right? Same thing with drugs.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, right? Or chicken fights. I actually had an agent contact me about chicken fights. So I taught him how to set up a crypto wallet because they were wanting to do cryptocurrency at a chicken fight, right? Or whatever you call them. So anyway, so you go there and you have to scan the wallets. He's like, okay, so they scanned the wallet and I put some money into that and stuff. How do I trace it? And I showed him how to trace it back through the blockchain. Yeah. So, I mean, you can use it with just about anything, but it's a process that I teach, a combination. The key is a combination and using it together. With dark web technology and cryptocurrency and whatever your target is.
Wow. So it's interesting because the things that have gone on in our county lately, I think, has brought more of awareness of what's going on, and so what you're doing is amazing. You're going to be around here doing some things here locally, aren't you?
Yes, sorry. I keep forgetting. Yeah, they've originally I was going to run for commissioner in District 5. I was really interested in that, and I wanted to do it for this very reason that we're having these conversations, and I wanted to do it to be able to protect the children in the school systems and the churches where we're hearing all of this abuse take place. And so I really wanted to make a difference in that, but I realized that position is more political than anything. And so I decided to not. I had a lot of other stuff coming up too. I have some books going to be published, so I'm focusing on that as well. But with that being said, I decided not to. I decided that my work, I could have a better impact by speaking.
Right.
And I love speaking. I love talking about what I do. I love knowing that I'm educating and raising awareness. I love educating parents, caregivers on this, on what to look for, how to keep their children safe, and that sort of thing. But yeah, so I'm going to be speaking publicly at several different locations. I don't know the dates. I'd have to pull up my calendar. But I know on
April 18th at the library.
Thank you.
I think it's was it 1:30 to 3:30?
Yeah.
And then it's you and Jeff Coggin and Jerry Burns.
Yes.
And it's non-political. It's all about some of the stuff that we talked about right here, but probably in much more detail than
Yeah. Well, the goal there is to obviously I'm not running. I'm not a candidate for anything. I'm just Melissa, and so but basically I will talk about kind of what I'm talking about here, but on a local basis and on a systemic basis, because we can talk about individuals all day long. But what's important is that we look at the systems that protect these offenders. And it is the systems that we have to change in order to make a difference. We can lock predators up all day long, but it's not going to change anything until we change the system. And until we change things within the system, like our criminal justice system,
Right.
and like plea deals. Plea deals is an area across the nation to where a lot of these predators avoid accountability. They avoid being on the sex offender registry. These sex offenders will do anything to get to not be on the sex offender registry. They do not want to be on that registry. So they'll cut plea deals to avoid being on the sex offender registry. Well, when that happens, then parents don't know that this individual is also a sex offender.
Right.
So that's also a problem in and of itself. So yeah, so my area for those talks is going to be, I'm going to talk about that, like systems, grooming systems, predators. Jeff is running for State House 20. So he's going to talk about how he's wanting to change some laws in order to better protect our children. And then Jerry Burns is going to come on and obviously talk about law enforcement and in that aspect as well for child protection. And then on April 26th, just myself and Jeff Coggin, we're speaking at the American Legion.
Yes. Yeah.
Out there as well too.
So when you said
topic,
yeah, so when you said District 5, you're just talking about here locally, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, I live in Maranville City, so yeah, District 5. Yeah, I was wanting to run for that vacant seat that Jared, is it Anderson? It was his seat, but he's running for mayor, so he had to let that seat go. And I was going to run for that seat. But then I decided I'm really not the political type person, because one of the things that I am not very good at, and that's diplomacy, right? I'm not very diplomatic. So I'm kind of like tell you like it is kind of thing. Yeah. And I probably wouldn't be able to do the smoozing that a lot of politicians will do, right? They'll do that smoozing and whatnot. And I'm not that type of person. I'm just more straight laced. I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you like it is. And yeah, like it or not, that's your problem.
I honestly think the citizens are wanting that more.
You think so?
I think that's the general consensus, in my opinion, that I'm seeing and hearing and getting on that. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot running this year, and
Here it is.
And that tells me that the citizens of Blount County, they want change. Yeah. They really want change, and they're going to get change one way or the other. It's coming. Change is coming. So,
how do we get you on politics?
Well, I don't know that I would do well in politics.
So I'm the same way. I thought about doing something at one point in time, and then I think once I decided to do the podcast, and in the beginning I just wanted to complain about everything on a federal level, and why they were coming after, and then we started seeing some things locally, so I wanted to complain about all of that, and then some time went by. Me and Robert reached out to each other, and he was like, I think you should probably pay attention to what's going on with the commission meetings, because at one point I wanted to point the finger. Everything that was going wrong was their fault, and little did I know not very much about the commission the way that I understand it to be now. So I was probably treating them unfairly a little bit too, so I think I do better in this situation doing the things that we do with like the Blount County breakdown, where we exposed a lot of that, the arrests of some of the things that are going on in our community, and talked about some stuff, and then try to mix it with a little bit of fun stuff. But you guys, especially when you and Jeff and Jerry and some of the others come on here and talk about the things that you're passionate about, what's going on, and we just sit back and listen, generate questions that way. I think that's the best way to be, because you learn so much more about it. And you're a wealth of information. There's quite a few people that said, that are talking about, they like what you do, that type of thing. You know what I mean? And so it was good to hear what was going on. It's going to be nice to meet you. I'm going to be there at the library.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I get to meet Jeff because me and Jeff have some things coming up. Some talk and discuss. I actually think on May 27th, it's me and you and Jeff, probably a little bit about what's going on with this. And then,
Yeah, I already have that one on my calendar too. Yes.
and then I think him and I are going to do something with a discussion with I think it's the Sean Ryan show on maybe Michael Lester, so
Yeah.
he's got some interesting views. Jeff does and mine are a little different than his. So maybe it'll turn out to be all right, so Jeff is extremely smart. And I was like, you're going to have to send me the literature so I can at least look like I'm, some guy that didn't graduate from Heritage.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine. And, it's, I like what you guys are doing. I like that you're spreading the message out. And one of the better ways of getting that message out, especially in today's world, is doing exactly what you're doing. Yeah. And it's reaching hundreds, if not thousands of people. And I think that's a great thing. As far as Jeff, he's also a wealth of knowledge. Yeah. He's a very intelligent man. He has some really good insights as to what he wants to do and how he wants to do it. And I think he would be very, very good. I think one of the things that people tend to get stuck on in politics is that political affiliation, right? Are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? Are you an independent? If you're not a Republican, I'm not going to vote for you. If you're not a Democrat, or if you are a Democrat, I'm absolutely not going to vote for you, right? And my answer to that is because of my area that I'm in. The children, not one time, or even adults, that I've also done some boots on the ground, helped out with some rescues as well. And never, not one time, has anyone ever asked me, are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican? Children are not political, okay? These victims are not political, and they're also not political pawns. And we cannot use them as any form of exploitation to make ourselves look better, right, or for anything, right? These victims are there for us to be able to get them to a safe area, get them the mental help, the treatment that they need to get them away from their offenders, et cetera, and be able to lock up these offenders. None of that is political. And one of the things when I was considering running for commissioner, and I went and filled out my paperwork. I actually had a Facebook page for a little while. And people were like, well, you're not Republican. You're not Republican. And I'm thinking, it doesn't matter if I'm not Republican or if I'm not Democrat or whatever. These children do not care.
Yeah, that's true. They don't care what letters beside somebody's name, especially when they're trying to find some sort of help or whatever,
That's
So
exactly right.
do you get involved in anything legislatively, like at the state level, to try to help curtail laws that protect the children from the victim, or what are these registries or so forth? Do you?
Well, my recent, I have a publication that's going to be coming out. I have a publisher, and I'm going to be publishing my doctoral dissertation in the form of a book. And basically what I did with my dissertation is that I looked at the perspectives of law enforcement officers on the sex offender registry, on whether or not the sex offender registry actually protected children from sex offenders. Well, spoiler alert, it does not. So with that being said, I'm publishing a book on that, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to use my research now, my doctoral research, in changing some laws within the state of Tennessee, and hopefully federal laws as well, on how we manage the sex offender registry.
I kind of want to touch on that too. What is the, what's the word? I guess maybe rate of reoffending. Is there a lot of reoffending, or is it kind of a very seldom thing?
Well, research shows that for registered sex offenders, we have to get into that topology thing again, because different types. Okay, so let's say, for example, we have locked up a pedophile. A pedophile is someone who solely preys on prepubescent children. These are different types of offenders. They're completely different types from offenders than, say, your date rapist or something of that sort. And they will tell you, because they crave, they have a desire for prepubescent children. It's really disgusting and it's horrific. But they will tell you, as soon as I get out, I know I will reoffend. But the amount of those is very, very small. A sex offender on average will have about 90 victims in their lifetime. So, and that's across the board. So we're talking general, okay, general. A pedophile will go up into the hundreds of victims.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm very serious. So those types of offenders will recidivate. But if we look at the big picture on recidivism and how many times they're going to recidivate, your average sex offender, and I hate to use that term, but it is what it is. Your average sex offender that made a poor choice at a party because they had too much to drink and they forced themselves on someone, that sex offender, they're not going to recidivate. They're not going to reoffend. If they do reoffend, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be because of they couldn't get a job, so now they are addicted to drugs and they're stealing to support their drug habit, or they've got a DUI, or they're stealing now to pay their bills, that sort of thing, right? It's going to be something of that sort if they do recidivate, because most sex offenders on the registry, most of them will not recidivate for a sex crime. It will be something else. But then you do have those sex offenders that will, as soon as their feet hit the street, they're looking for their next victim. So it really varies. There are no easy answers to this, to that question, but that's the best way I can answer it with my research that I've done.
So the message is to make sure that whoever your kids are around, you have some idea who they are around. Because it seems like it's people in authority positions and a lot. Well, you said uncles and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just it seems like it's the individual that is somebody you would look up to or trust. You know what I mean? That's got to be hard.
I think a key thing, if I was to, well, I am going to be creating trainings on my DeVille Academy website. It's going to be for the public. It's going to be free. And it's going to be for parents, caregivers to go on and look for signs, symptoms, things like that, right? What are some of the things that they can do? How can I give back to my community to empower them to protect our children? That's what I'm interested in doing at this stage of my life. So if I had to say, what is the message that I could send to these parents, caregivers? One is that they can look like anybody. We can't profile them based on looks or anything else, whether they're rich or poor, whether they're wearing fancy clothes or whether they're walking around in work clothes and work boots, etc. We cannot profile them based on how they look, but what we can do is we can learn how their demeanor is and how they act around your children. That's going to be a big sign. So say, for example, if a single mother has a new boyfriend and that new boyfriend is constantly wanting to take her little girl to the movies. Say he bought her a new bike. I would love to take, little Becky over here to the park and teach her how to ride her bike and stuff like that. We'll be back in a few hours. That should be a red flag to a single mom. Although she may need a break, and although she may be overwhelmed, and although she may think that she's found a wonderful man who's going to be a great father to her child, that's a red flag. So she needs to get to know that man on a much deeper level for a longer term, right? We're talking, and even at that, there is no 100% way that we can actually protect children. So children they oftentimes, depending on their age, they don't know that they're going to be harmed. They don't know even what's happening to them at a certain age group. Most children don't even know that it's inappropriate as to what's happening to them. It's usually not until they get into their teenage years that they start learning that this is not what every family does. This is not what every daddy does, or this is not what every mommy does, or whatnot, you know? So it's a very complex field. It's a very challenging field that's constantly changing. The predator types are not changing. The access and technology is what is always changing. So, so my answer to that would be for the public: don't trust anybody with your children, and don't be afraid to question them. Don't be afraid to say, "Why were you alone with my child?" Don't be afraid to say no. Be confident in saying no. Get confident in saying no. Practice saying no. No, you cannot buy my child a bike. No, you cannot buy my child Barbie dolls. You know, the neighbor cannot buy my child a bike. That's what.
And some of these platforms don't help neither. Like Roblox. Seen a ton of interviews. Like I don't know if you know who Ryan Montgomery is, but he's like a world-class hacker.
Yeah, he is.
He goes looking for these guys. But the things that the Roblox platform does to protect the grown-ups on there, and then it will actually turn around and maybe even ban somebody for making a complaint. It just blows my mind how that works.
Yeah, the safety systems of a lot of these platforms, they're definitely not kid friendly.
Yeah, so like we're on YouTube and Facebook, but I automatically set them things that it's not for children, because none of the, I mean, we swear sometimes, you know what I mean, and some things we show, you know, is not, you know, it's not for children, you know what I mean. So
and even this conversation is not for children.
it's
and
not.
No foul words have been said, but context. We have to consider the context, and I mean, this is sensitive information. And it can also actually, some of the brief descriptions that I have even given can actually be triggers to some victims that we have to be cautious about as well, too.
They're almost triggers for me.
I mean,
golly, I can't believe some of those stats and stuff. It is insane.
Yeah, and it's not getting any easier. It's not, maybe that's a bad term. It's not getting better. It's just not. It's not getting better. It's getting worse, and technology is making it worse.
Seems like we see more of it now than ever.
Yeah, and that's because of technology. That's because we have access to technology around the globe, and people are sharing on podcasts, right? They're sharing their experiences. They're sharing their life, which is also raising awareness, but at the same time can also be detrimental to some people. So
my grandfather, who's gone now, was saying to me, you know, over the last 15 years that we used to say that not enough information was bad, but now we live in a world where sometimes too much information is just as bad as not enough information. So when I was younger, we didn't know everything that was going on the way we see it now with the internet. We're closer to everything now because of the web. You know, we can find out what's going on in Iran in an instant, you know what I mean? And where it would take years, you know, earlier or way back when, or you never heard of anything like that ever happening at all, you know? So there's I guess there's pros and cons to all of this, you know. I love technology. I love AI. I love messing with it and all that. And I sure as heck hope that you can find ways to make it where it is a tool for you, as for education and as a way to track these people down, because you know, some of this is ridiculously sick. I'll just leave it at that. You know,
it is. And no, it really is. Like I was saying, I don't do content. Law enforcement does content, but what I target are the websites. So, for example, if I was to come across a website that had content on it, there's a protocol. And what you just said reminded me that I wanted to also share the protocol, because NCMEC does an excellent job with the protocols of investigating these cases. And so I can never remember what NCMEC stands for. Let's see if I can. Why can't I remember that? I've known it my whole life. National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And so for the life of me, I cannot ever remember that. Anyways, yeah, so NCMEC has a protocol in place. So like, for example, if anybody ever comes across any type of content, and I use this protocol when I'm investigating websites and looking for admin, because that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the admin. I'm looking to identify individuals so these sites can be taken down. So if I come across content, NCMEC has an excellent program in place that should be shared, because if you come across anything that you think is inappropriate, obviously inappropriate, sexually inappropriate, etc., that just raises a little bit of a red flag with you, then go to NCMEC's website, and they have a really big button on there, and you can actually file a report, and you can do it anonymously if you want to. Because when I come across these sites, I don't know how many NCMEC reports I actually have, but when I come across sites and I know it has content on it, I'm reporting it to NCMEC. You can fill in the URL address, you can fill in the information, you can fill in your information so they can contact you if they have questions, et cetera. And so what NCMEC does is they have hundreds of individuals who will actually go and collect the hashes to these sites. And so when they collect hashes to these sites, this content on the internet actually has what we call a hash. So with that hash, we can actually, or they can actually trace and track that content across the web to see where it's been, whose email it went to, whose IP address it's actually traveled to, et cetera. So it's excellent.
Wow.
Yeah, so definitely contact NCMEC they have a cyber tip line that you can report stuff to anonymously, and I can't mention that enough. They do excellent work.
So it's like almost like being a mandatory reporter. If you work in some industries like I work in, if you see something, you're bound by it. If you don't, then you're in trouble. So
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I report all the work that I do because. Yeah, everything that I get involved in, if it involves any type of content, anything like that, even words, descriptions, verbiage, whatnot, I report it, and then they'll create hashes.
because see, now you say words and verbiage, which brings me back to I've been in construction my whole life. And on the job site, there's a lot of words and verbiage that go around.
Yeah.
And if someone walks by and doesn't like what's said, then it becomes a real issue. And things like that didn't used to be that way. So I wish some of that didn't always offend some people, because most of it where I come from is just funny anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so
Right. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I guess more of what I was saying is the words and verbiage of if you're in a chat room somewhere
yes.
and they're using terms that we know is for selling this type of content and whatnot, then you can report that.
Which is why I was hoping that would follow up with that, because mostly we're just being funny, but for real, when stuff like that is talked about and you hear it and that kind of thing, if it involves a child, the best thing you can do is reach out to, and whatever information you just gave right there with the NCMEC, you called it, local law enforcement.
NCMEC.org and their cyber tip line.
911, you know what I mean? So, that kind of thing. So, man, we've been on here for an hour and 15 minutes. I don't know. You got anything else, Robert?
It's hard to believe.
Yeah, not at the moment. I don't. It's just
You'll probably think of something later on as your brain has to process all this information.
Yeah, it's kind of stunning. It's surprising.
Some of it, yeah.
Well,
It makes me angry, really. Some of
yeah.
it.
I know. It's I normally start my classes off, or I do a lot of speaking at conferences as well, and I'll start them off. I mean, I've been in this field for so long, I hate to say it, I've become desensitized to it, and that's horrible, but it's
How long have you been doing this?
The thing I read said 30 years.
In what
30
fashion?
years?
Over 30. I've been in this field for over 30 years.
Yeah.
For this topic of sex crimes. So yeah, I've been in the
I'd
field.
say you do
Kind
become
of spoiled.
desensitized after that.
I hate to say that, but it's true. But then it also has its benefits to where you know what to look for, right? You know what to look for,
Absolutely.
yeah, and whatnot. I've just
Really in
evolved,
tune with it.
yeah, I just evolved with it over time. When it comes to technology, I was in it when we didn't have a lot of technology. Now we have a lot of technology, and I've just evolved with it over time.
Right.
I've grown with it in a
So
technology type stance, but.
the DeVille Academy, that's where people will be able to find you here in the future and see some of the work that you've done. Seems like you just received some big accolade.
I did. Which
Um,
accolade?
gosh, you posted it on Facebook. Did you graduate or
Oh, I just finished my PhD.
your PhD? Thank you.
Yeah, I just finished my yeah.
Again, it's a bigger word, and I graduated at Heritage, so I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's yeah. No, I just finished my PhD, and my research was on the sex offender registry, and I interviewed law enforcement in the southeastern United States, and yeah, we gained an idea as to how the sex offender registry does not basically protect children from sex offenders. It doesn't, because it's not focused that way. So yeah, and I'm publishing a book on it. So that book, I hope it's being published by McFarland Publishers, and hopefully I don't know when it's going to come out. I don't know. Maybe in 6 months or so. I'll have to let you know.
Yeah.
I'll have to give you a copy. I'll get so many free copies.
Oh, that's cool because I would read something like that. Yeah, for sure.
Yes,
So
I definitely
the
will.
topic is definitely interesting. You know what I mean? So, are you going to be able to answer questions when like on when you get to these like at the library, or is it just going to be strictly you have your part and then Jeff has his and then Jerry has his and then maybe a little interaction there at the end?
Yeah, we are. We're saving quite a bit of time for Q&A.
Okay.
Yeah, we definitely are. Yeah, well, I'll talk about different things, and then the next presenter will come on, and in that way, it'll be more like a panel discussion,
Yeah.
and that people can ask questions and whatnot, whatever they're wanting to know. Yeah, absolutely. That's
Can you not add that to the screen, Robert?
Yeah, I was
There you go.
just
Okay.
waiting.
yeah. People will be able to answer, ask questions, and that's so important for people to be able to ask questions and learn. You know, my goal is to educate the public, and I want them to be prepared. I want them to know how to protect children, not just their children, but all children, right? All children. I see all children as our responsibility.
Yeah.
And we're like a village, and we need to protect all children. And because children cannot protect themselves, they are our most vulnerable population.
I agree.
And
Yeah.
it's our job to protect everyone's children. And that's how I see it. So that's why I backed out of going into politics. I really didn't think that I would do well in politics. I'm like, I think I'll do better doing what I'm doing right now, changing laws, speaking, doing stuff like that, hopefully.
Yeah, and then you know the ins and outs of things. We may have to get you back to talk about, look, we changed this and this is how we changed it. This is the process that we went through when it came to how things work to get a bill turned into a law, all that kind of stuff like that. Because again, there's a lot of people that don't know about how those types of things work. And most of the time people don't get involved in that until something happens in their life. And then they want to make change. So if we can inform people, then, I have fun doing it anyway. So
No, I love it. I think what you guys are doing is great. I really do. You're getting the message out, and you keep it clean, and you're not showing preferential treatment. So you're keeping it clean to let people have a voice, and you're sending those individuals' message out as to what they're doing, how they can help. Because in our communities, we need strong voices. We need strong people who will be leaders and who will help us in my topic, protect children. Yeah.
So I like what you said there, because I think we've done just what you said when it comes to those candid conversations. We were hoping we would get some that were running for re-election to come on and give them the exact same thing. I think maybe I don't know. I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouth, but me and Robert discussed doing it that way specifically because we want to be able to have these conversations with them, and that kind of stuff, and then inform people. Like I said in the beginning, I didn't understand how the commission itself worked. I wanted to blame them for everything. Now that I know, I want to put the brakes on some things that are whoa, they can't. What we're talking about is probably not anything that they can do. There's another avenue about it. How do we get to that avenue? What do we got to do? And I think me and Robert coming together, I give Robert a lot of props because this thing grew quick in the last 2.5, 3 months, maybe. And he said, if you'll come and we start talking some of these things Blount County wise and get some of these people on here to talk about what's going on, you're going to see some growth in your podcast, and which was true. So, and I appreciate anything that comes with it, especially when it's this type of forum. It's interesting. I like it. You know what I mean? It's what I watch. I go to other people's podcasts to watch just exactly stuff like this, so, and when we can contain it to the county, we get enough people, in the community that are reacting now. I think at one point in time, we must have had 20, we had like 6 on, Rumble and 12 or 13 on Facebook at a time. But where it picks up is once this thing is over and people have time to sit down and listen to it later, then we'll start to see things go, where the traction's a little bit more. And then I'll make a bunch of reels, out of it and send it out too. I got Austin's to do because we were busy yesterday going to those events. And then we had Blount County Breakdown last night and then you this afternoon. But I really appreciate you saying what you do because that's exactly what we want. We want people to come on and do this. I do not want to browbeat anybody or, anything like that, and then, but I do appreciate that, Melissa, very much. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I do. I really like what you guys are doing. And again, it's clean and it's professional. And I think that's important.
Cool.
Yeah.
That means a lot. I do appreciate that.
Yeah. And, with all the victims and everyone's talking about the children that's been abused in the school systems. And I understand. I do. I understand why parents are angry. And ultimately, that's why I was wanting to run for commissioner. But then I realized that although I could get involved in politics and public policy, absolutely, my hands would be tied. And I didn't want my hands tied. I'm not one to be corralled, so to speak. Right. And so, and it's not as though I want to be able to talk about what I want to talk about professionally, because I think a lot of my skill sets and a lot of my life experiences, I can actually help people. I can help victims find their voice. I can help victims come out of the shadows, because if we really want to combat these predators, one of the first things we have to do is we have to expose them. We can push out evil with sunlight, right? So, so we have to expose them, and it's really hard for these victims to be able to do that. Yeah. Some of them can't even talk about their traumas. Yeah. It took me a long time to be able to talk about mine with a therapist. But I found my footing. I'll never forget the first time I publicly spoke, and I actually publicly was able to say in front of a whole group of law enforcement officers, because that's who I train, that I am a survivor. And they were like, well, thank you for sharing that, because once you can start finding your foundation and sharing that you are a survivor, what it does is it helps bring other survivors to the forefront to where they can obviously start having a voice and finding their grounding and their passion and how they want to make a change. Because I have thousands and thousands and millions of survivor brothers and sisters out there. We're out there. And I really, my speaking, I know at conferences now when I'm speaking, I always have those that come up and they always say, me too. And they're always so gracious and so thankful. And to me, it's very therapeutic. To me, when you can talk about, and I don't go into detail. I don't say name. I will never do that. I'll never go into details. But all I have to do is just talk about I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse and exploitation. And it's all I have to do is start talking about it. And then they'll oftentimes come up and say, me too, and thank you, because that was the first step that they got in order to share their voice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like this, it's a whole movement. It's a whole movement across the planet almost. And I have millions of survivor brothers and sisters, because I'll never forget, I used to feel so alone. And my message to survivors out there through your podcast is that I used to feel alone. I used to feel ashamed. I used to feel depressed and et cetera, until I found my other survivor brothers and sisters. And when I found them, I was no longer alone anymore.
Man, amen.
Yeah.
Yeah, amen. Shirley Ann Rupert says this training should be mandatory for all educators, and I agree. Yep.
I do too.
Yep, I agree.
Thank you. Tell Miss Shirley I said hi, and well, I guess she can hear me.
Yeah,
Thank you, Shirley. Thank you, Shirley. I think the world of her. She's such a good lady.
You got quite a few fans on here, so that's for sure. I haven't yet see one bad comment. We usually get one, and so far you've got none. So,
that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
I guess my haters are busy.
I don't see how anyone could be a hater. If someone's a hater, I don't care about being polished. If you got a hater, then something's wrong with them.
Exactly.
Well, my haters are usually the predators. So
yeah.
it's usually those guys.
Yeah.
And
That
they're
makes
not.
sense.
Yeah, usually those are the haters. And so, but if they come over here, if they come on and they start saying stuff, we're going to get their username. And yeah. So.
Absolutely. There you go.
Holy cow.
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
They're telling each other, don't comment on that show tonight. Don't comment on that show tonight, because they're going to want
texting. Absolutely.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, Melissa, we had a
lot of.
Go ahead, Robert. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you get a lot of people behind you, and you're doing great things.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
I believe everybody has the same thought, and that everything you're doing is great, and it's something we really need. I appreciate what you're doing also. I think that's awesome.
Thank you all. I really do appreciate that. And just know I'm here to help. I'm here to help any way I can. I'm not perfect, but I am here to help. Help anyone I can. Actually, I will do my best. I will try. And I'm more than willing to come back on y'all's podcast anytime to chat, talk about anything new that's happening. I love technology. I'm a little bit geeky when it comes to that. So
I do too.
I love tech. So we could talk
I got to learn
that.
it. Yeah, we could definitely do that too.
I could actually come on your show and do like a demonstration sometime.
That would be cool.
Would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Obviously, we'll make up something, but we'll target a celebrity.
Well, see, we did that just last night. We did the Kevin J. McNeil article, the hypothetical thing with the AI data center, and I brought the stats in from artificial intelligence through Gemini. Crystal had her vision on it. We all sort of, we had a little bit of stuff going on with the chat with it, and it probably consumed about 25 or 30 minutes, and just to like a super think tank is basically what it was. And in the end, we all agreed it's probably not what we want in our region, but it sure was cool, man. It was definitely cool. And we thank Kevin for doing that, because we wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Kevin.
Yeah, you have an open invitation anytime, especially. You know what I mean? So I don't know how long the Candid conversation thing will go. Well, it'll always be around just for something like this to get somebody back on, because I think in the beginning, me and Robert were just trying to get the candidates to come on here, and how could we do it in a way it seemed comfortable. So it seemed to work. So we might as well just hang around with it. So
even though we haven't got one incumbent yet,
that's okay. They're going to see these things over time. They're going to see that, we're not as hard as what they think we are as far as the exterior of us. We got experience. See all this.
That's wisdom.
That's wisdom.
That's what that is.
And I got that old Shrek look every time I come around. But I'm I was in construction, the sun my whole life. I don't look mean. I
Uh,
mean, maybe I look mean, but I'm not as mean as I look type thing. So
nah.
yeah,
No, it's all good. I mean, y'all aren't taking sides either. So, and I think, I mean, you just welcome, anyone professionally on your podcast and to talk about different things. And I like that. Yeah.
me too. So
Yeah, even though we may disagree with some of the things, shoot,
Mhm.
me and Brian don't even agree on everything.
I don't
we have
want to.
different views
Well, we're
on a
not
lot.
supposed to, are we? We're supposed to have
Oh,
different perspectives.
yeah, I don't want to, because then it seems like everybody's just doing the same thing. You know what I mean?
I,
Yes.
I know the world would be a boring place if we all thought alike.
So when I first talked to them about it was because I was watching a show where they got like there was a guy has a podcast and he has like different shows throughout the day with different content creators, and then on Friday they come together and they put a show together where they talk about all the things goofy under the sun, because all week long they've been talking stuff just like this. And it
Hmm.
was great. I thought, wow, what a way to unwind, that kind of thing. So when I got with Crystal and Robert and them and Jason, and we were like, let's do some things that informs the community, but let's also do some things that's kind of goofy. And we went to the car show, or I did, for Heritage High School. We posted some pictures. I had a little video, so maybe we can promote some things that are positive too. Townsend's a beautiful place.
Hmm.
I
Oh,
think
yes.
they had that thing going on. What's that, tomorrow at 6 o'clock? They got that thing going on up there with their.
I think it was today. Wasn't it?
Today's Wednesday. It was on Thursday. Yeah, it's on Thursday. So Christina Delaney has that going on, and you can see, you know what I mean. But we live in a beautiful area, you know what I mean. So
Oh, yes. Yeah.
we can promote the best things of it. I love to golf. We have great golfing around here. If anybody else likes to golf,
Oh, I love to golf too. So,
Yeah.
well,
I'm
hey,
not good at it, but I like it.
well, I'm
what
not
I mean?
good at it either, but I like doing it. So I love to golf. So I can definitely go golfing with some people.
Yeah,
A good
Does
time.
putt count?
What's that?
Does putt mini golf count?
Well, Robert, you can do like I do. See, I played sports my whole life where the most points win. Well, I play golf the same way.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
That works.
Exactly.
Yeah. How many
You know?
how many hole in ones did you get? No. I know, right? Is it a 3-par? That would be easier if it's a 3-par.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would
Let's
be
see.
good. That would be good. But yeah.
It's okay. Shirley wants to know, could a concerned parent hire you prior to involving police?
Do what now? It broke up.
Could a concerned parent hire you? Let me make sure I'm saying this right. Could a concerned parent hire you prior to involving police? Are you even hireable like that? I don't think that's what you do, right?
I am hireable as a forensic
Okay.
consultant. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, I am hireable as a forensic consultant.
Okay.
And of course I would have to definitely look at the case and look at the broad aspect of the case. But yes,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
definitely can be as a forensic consultant. I am a independent forensic consultant.
Okay.
So,
I just didn't want to put words in your mouth.
Outside of training, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have taken on some cases.
Nice. Okay. Well, Melissa, this has been wonderful. Like I said, you got open invitation, anything, you know what I mean? So, and can't wait to meet you in person for sure. Because we've met a lot of people virtually, and then when we get out there and meet each other, it's kind of cool, So, but yes, what an awesome show, and we'll get some reels out in the next couple of days, and we'll get them shared around. I think there's a wealth of information, different than anything we've done so far, and I think more people are going to like this aspect of that information versus the politics side of it, So,
And I hope I didn't cause too much PTSD.
No?
That's usually how I start my conferences out. Welcome them to their early morning dose of PTSD. Yes, well, with this topic, you try to find a little bit of something, a little bit of highlight of something, because it's so depressing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So
So
do what you have to do. Whoops, we switched back now.
yeah, Robert.
Hey, Robert.
So it's weird
like
is
keep
because
everybody on their toes.
sometimes I feel like he has more control than I do, and he's just the moderator. Mine says owner at the top, admit owner, and then everybody else you can make a moderator. And when I go to do something, I'm like, I can't do it. And Robert's like, well, here, I'll do that. And I'm like, how did you do that?
I know,
So
it keeps
kindly
moving my
rude.
screen around.
Technology.
But yeah, so you know what? I was thinking a minute ago, y'all should go to some of these public speaking events, and since they're public, record them and then share them on your podcast.
The like the meet and greet type public events, is that what you mean? Or you mean
Or like the public speaking events, like the one we're doing at the library.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
That way
right.
we can get out to everyone. Y'all should think about that, and then you share it on your platform.
So
Yeah,
I
I
wanted
think
to
we
talk to
kinda
you
do.
about that probably off podcast, because I think you have the technology that surpasses mine. So if
Yeah.
I could just grab your link and then share it was what I was going to try to do through Resolute, the podcast. But I guess we'll see what happens, because I have the Hohem camera thing where you set it on there, and I can set it up so while you're watching, or
Mm-hmm.
while somebody's speaking during an engagement,
Yeah,
it'll
that's what
follow
I
you. Is that what you have too?
Mhm. Yeah,
And then
that's
I
you
can
can
run it
set
through the
your phone up on that, or I have a tripod, and you have to get a recorder, or you can set that up on it too with another device, and that way it'll follow speakers and
Yep.
whatnot as well too. But yeah, you may want to think about that with some of these events coming up, and sharing those on your platform. You could get a lot of publicity that way.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up, because I wasn't sure what I was allowed to do with that, because it was your all's
Mhm.
presentation. You know what I mean? But
Well, it's
so
a public event.
yeah, that's true. But
And so
still,
if it's a public event, then you're allowed to do that and share it, I would think.
I would still ask,
Well,
even
of
though it's
course, out of
public. Yeah,
courtesy. Well, yeah, of course, out of courtesy. I'm sure I don't have a problem with it.
yeah.
I'm sure Crystal wouldn't, or Jeff or Jerry or any of them would have a problem with it. It just gives them more publicity for their campaign as well too.
True.
I have a campaign. I just have me.
Which I like. I like this right here. So
Yeah.
okay, all right, Robert. You got anything before we get out of here?
Not
No.
anything that's not me.
Okay. Well, guys, you can find Melissa Maranville on Facebook. What is it? It's what is it, Justice? What's it called?
DeVille,
Front line of justice.
Front Line of Justice. My bad. Front Line
Mhm.
of Justice. You can find her there, and then she has all her information from there. You guys can track her down however you want to do it, and
Just put it in
be
Google.
careful. Be careful, because she has the stuff to find you if you mess with her the wrong way. So
Right.
anyway, that's right. All right, Melissa. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. We will see you soon.
I appreciate you, and thank you for all that you do, really.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Robert, what do you think?
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Wow. It was kind of hard there for a minute to hold my shit together.
So I think we did a better 60-minute segment than 60 Minutes has ever done. You know that? I mean, that was, man, the amount of information that she gave. Like I said,
What do you think about some of that, man? Ain't that wild?
It's horrible. Some of the victims and what they put through. So I know at an adult level, it's probably, my heart is not as hardened to it as it is a minor child. You know what I mean? That
That's what really.
Not that one's worse than or above the other, but when it's a child, yeah, that's
You know you're doing wrong when
You
it
know.
comes to a child. You know it's in your DNA, man.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
like you're born that way. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's interesting to know that she can help change and shape laws that would do. For example, we had the gentleman that was arrested yesterday that bonded out. As far as I'm concerned, that was a substantial amount of money to
Very.
bond out. And in the case of what those charges were, according to the public record, he should have had to sit till his first day in court, as far as I'm concerned. So it shouldn't be so easy to just be able to get out if you have the financial means and the attorney, because that's another thing,
Yeah, to me, I would compare it to somebody with a murder charge. You don't
Right.
necessarily want to turn right around and let them back out.
like a capital offense. Yeah.
Yeah, and almost the child abuse, I just think makes it that much worse. It's really not a good thing, man.
Not at all.
And,
Yeah.
and to be able to just to give somebody that opportunity. Hey, man, give us some money, we'll let you out of here.
And
It blows my mind.
and
I
to think,
understand that's law, and
I get,
that's
I
how it
do,
is.
I
But
do
I don't
understand
think
due process. No,
yeah,
I don't either. Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm not trying to take anybody's constitutional rights away, but I just think some
No,
things
absolutely
on that
not.
level right there, you know what I mean? That they investigated the way we understood this because there was how it came down to get the warrant for his arrest type thing.
Oh,
Apparently,
right.
they must have had
Got
enough,
that evidence.
whatever. So they know. So they should be able to coordinate that with the magistrate, judge, DA, whoever's in charge of whatever how that process goes to say, look, this guy should probably not have that. But again, that's a constitutional thing, and I
And just,
understand.
and just so we're clear on the podcast, the fellow we're talking about, it's allegedly he's innocent until
Right.
proven
Till
guilty.
proven
No
guilty. Yeah.
matter what they
Yeah.
got on him or what we know or anything,
Yeah.
there's still a process to
Yeah.
go through.
It's
But
all public information.
it's all public information, and we can state how we feel on it at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're just talking the ins and outs of the justice system where I have issues where the justice system doesn't work the way that I think it should. But at the same time, I think it is overbearing in areas that it shouldn't be.
Yeah,
I know people that have a drug charge that sat there longer than this gentleman did,
absolutely.
and that, in my mind, that you got busted with a small bag of pot, and you had to sit in jail till you went to court because
Yeah,
you couldn't afford the $1,200 it was to get out on bond. Um,
on probation for a year. If you violate, you're doing that year in jail. I
but I
mean,
mean, is your initial arrest, you know,
hmm
you can't get out because of those conditions, so you're there. But when it comes to a child like that, I think
yeah,
I think there should be something. But again, I don't want to step on because I'm a constitutionalist, big time. I love our Constitution. I love being able to use that against people, but at the same time,
yeah.
I don't want to
That's,
trample on something, But I think that's an area where that could be adjusted.
if it wasn't such a big, rampant problem like it
Oh,
is right now, but like you said, it's that bad that it's just coming to a point where I think a message needs to be sent. They do something extreme to just a handful of them. Uh, that's going to make the rest of them think twice.
so
You know,
what I think in my mind of how it should be handled, you're right. We do that according to my imagination. Then,
Mhm.
um, but see, once you start that though, then
It's a
it's
slippery slope.
it not only that it just goes down a road where then what's the next thing that has to pay the same price for that. I'm just glad I'm not in that position to make those type of decisions, but I know that the ones that are doing that, the old black robes up there, they're not doing as far as I'm concerned. And I know that we hear that there's not enough legislative stuff up there, their hands are tied, but I just don't think that's necessarily true. They kind of do think they do what they want to anyway,
Yeah,
to other things. So it's just odd that, and some of these people don't have the type of cash flow. I would think that would get
right.
them the kind of an attorney to be able to argue those things. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. What
yeah,
what really gets me is after the initial charges, it's the deals and the
yeah,
slack that comes after that. Yeah, if you're in a certain position, let's not get it twisted that if you're just Joe Blow off the street here, you're not getting any deals. Yeah, you're not getting nothing like that. You know
see,
what I mean?
it would be nice to have somebody that we could bounce this off of that was, maybe an attorney or, something along those lines that, hey,
Maybe
what are we doing? Is Robert and I, what we're saying here, are we right in what we're saying? Is it
that would be good
legal in
to
how we're
know.
saying? What's that?
I said that would be good to know. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
check into getting us somebody on here like that.
Since we're, the show is interesting enough that we can get people to come on and, go
Mhm.
look. You guys are, you're talking off cuff. You're talking emotional. But as far as legally, here's some of the things that we can do. As far as how long we can keep them, detained until court, those kinds of things it would help, because all we want to do is make sure that we're getting information out, but not just information, correct information. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So,
definitely.
that's why we tell everybody that, you're innocent till proven guilty. That all this information's public record. We're just getting the same. It's funny. I posted today that when Channel 10 News and all that are posting these things about the commissioner, and the gentleman that was arrested yesterday, whose name has escaped me. When they post it and they're talking about it on their, lunch hour show or whatever, that's news. But when I post it,
Yeah.
who do you think you are? You know what I mean? I'm sharing the
Right.
same. And the thing was, we shared the information yesterday that they're all sharing today. So not that it was breaking or first or anything like that. Just odd though, because this little Small Potatoes podcast, got the information out there, wasn't sufficient enough unless it came on ABC, CBS, NBC, or Fox,
Right.
So,
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
how it be sometimes.
That's very true. So, very true. So, all right, buddy, let's get off here. Hour and 47 minutes, and Melissa probably could have went on. We could have talked for a long time. So,
It went way quicker than it felt. It felt way quicker than it was.
One day, man, we might have a studio where you can actually sit down across from the person and do some, really
That would be
interesting
awesome.
things. Would be cool. Yeah. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for all the comments out there. Like, share, follow. I'll get these reels out here. Melissa Maranville, she's a wealth of information. She's obviously on top of her game. And all we want to do is promote that type of positivity in our community and get the word out and get the engagement out. It would be nice if all the local schools would have her to do a short seminar or whatever, some kind of training. I'm sure
Absolutely.
she's probably involved in those kinds of things, and we're way behind on that. It's probably already going on. Who knows? But anyway, anytime that we can push her out, let's get her out there and do it. And she has a open invite to come on any one of the shows. She come on Caught Up, Blount County Breakdown, Candid Conversation, or we'll just create one. You know what I mean? So
I've got a whole channel ready to be filled.
Yes, and then Robert's fixing to do the same thing. Yeah, so we're not losing you, right? You're just going to do your own thing.
No.
We get to keep you on Tuesdays and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So.
I'll be doing some short things, 30 minutes, quick rundowns, and then I'll bring that with me.
Like a Daily Herald.
Yeah.
We're going to be a multimedia conglomerate, which is owned by nobody but us.
That's it.
Not one of these billionaire companies out here where you're going to get the same information that all the other news outlets are giving you. And I think ours has a little bit of flavor. If we can get Jason not to ever put a sucker in his mouth in the middle of a podcast.
You won't get that. He likes his suckers.
Kim says we are the news now. That's amazing. We are the news, so appreciate that, especially on Tuesday. Now, my show Caught Up tomorrow is going to be interesting. I want to talk a little bit of things that's going on with the whole everybody's mad at Trump over the Iran thing, and I have a different spin to it, which we can kind of show some things that kind of gives a perspective on it that would make you think, wow, he's pretty brilliant, So tune in for that tomorrow at 7:45. Other than that, what do we got going on this weekend? We got no Candid Conversation until it looks like the 13th with
13th.
Alan Latham. We'll do his on the 13th, and he could cancel that because he's busy he's got a lawn care business. He's got plenty of
he's got a lot going on.
He's got a lot going on. Plus, he's out there running his thing. So if he comes up and says, "Hey, I can't make it for whatever reason," I ain't gonna hold it against him because,
Sure.
that kind of thing. And then on the 15th, we have Christina Delaney, and then I'm sure we'll have another couple after that. Otherwise, it's going to be close to. By then, it'll be early elections starting, and then that kind of thing. So who knows how many more will come on for that. But Farrah and them are out there doing their ads. Misty's got her ads. Austin's got his ads. Jared's got his ads. It seems like all of them have their ads out there. I'm doing my best to share them all. I'm not even, some of these are not even our district. You know what I mean? Jessica's got her ads. Shayna's got hers. I know we're going to have Sam on after, I think the May 5th thing, because he's unopposed. So he goes on, and then we'll get him on a show. So we'll do something with him. We'll actually maybe do a sit down with him somewhere. You know what I mean? Where we can actually, the three of us sit there and have a conversation, instead of virtually like that, that kind of thing. So it's just some of the things that are coming up in the future, that kind of thing. So with that being said, Robert, you have a good evening, man.
You too, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
Yes, sir.
We'll see how you guys later.
And you all have a good night. We'll leave with a little. Oh, my bad. We'll leave with a little bit of people on the porch. I'm so sorry.
My heart, pumping all day long. Get me the morning when darkness comes. My heart, ooh. It takes so long to mend. It's harder to lean on this shell of a man. You found love in the Lord, your family and your friends. Could you please pray for me that I can find the same within? My heart, pumping all day long. When the evening comes, please stay strong. Give me the morning when darkness falls. My heart, I'm gonna pick my bones up and walk through the storm I made. I'm gonna head on home.